Hello everybody, this is Mystic Games here. Welcome back to Against the Storm. Today is going to be more of a video on the future of this game, and they just released patch 1.1, added some orders, added some custom trader portraits, some new decorations, yada yada yada. What I want to discuss in this video is potential features for the future and things that I'm very interested in, and I believe the community is interested in as well. So we're going to kind of jump into this. So for species, I'm going to start there. I'm just going to discuss like the top possibility of what we could get. And right now, like most logical for them to make would be to be the bat or the frog, which I believe they offered as choices originally to the community when they released the fox. What I would like to see as races, I have three. I have bears, humanoid bear species, a mole species, and a bird species. So I think the bear would probably take a lot of breaks because they hibernate and all that. I think they would be good at fishing, and we're going to get to that in a second in features as well, because lakes is a very requested feature. So they would be good at fishing, and they would be good at whatever else they want. Something I also recommended in features a while back, when I was in the beta, I put this on the forums, was adding additional things that they're good at. So each species has, like, humans is good at farms, and they are good at brewing. Harpies are good at alchemy, and they are good at clothing. So everyone has like two things they're good at, and they usually either provide 5 resolve if the building is for them, or 10 to production, doubling your production. So what my recommendation is, and this is a feature that I think would be interesting to add to the game and give you more durability with each of the species, is to add, essentially you should have what I would consider 2 major options, like maybe farming and brewing for humans, but then they could have survival as a secondary, or scouting, which is what the foxes have, and they could be put on scouting, but they, instead of getting like a 10% speed increase or whatever it is they get, for the fox for the scouting, they would get half of it. So if you put a human, it gets a 5% increase on scouting, more so, or whatever. I think that would be a cool way to make every species a little more durable and flexible. I also think they should add categories, but that's again, like, fishing would be added. That'd be a new food source with lakes. I can go into that a little bit. But like for moles are known for like breaking through stone and clay and digging, obviously, in the ground. So that would be like a new thing for the stone cutters, where you would actually have a race that has double the chance of proccing double stone or double clay in the beginning, and then you could have them be good at a new thing, or you could have them be good at something that another race is, other species is good at, and then have a third thing that they are good at, but not as good as another species. For birds, I put bonus to like reeds and fiber collection and all the stuff that takes place in the building that you use to collect, like the basic resource collecting building there. So that you would have birds for that, and that would cover like all your basic buildings, along with like the fishing huts and all that. If you add those to the game, the bears would cover that. So I didn't really go into secondaries with them, because the way I'm looking at this game is I actually feel like if they start adding more species, they should try to not, I don't think they should go too deep into adding too many new bonuses. I think they should really do you have your 2 main and then like a secondary. I feel like, to me, that just is such a better idea, because then you can maybe get a certain species that can do something that if you don't have humans, you can throw them on there, and they're still going to be a little bit better potentially at farms than the others. It's like a secondary choice, you know, if you don't roll them. Especially as you get more races, you're going to have less options. If you have more choices, you know, and less things that can fit there, it's going to be a problem. And there's, you know, the way I think to fix it is to make a secondary stat or that is not as good as the first two, or you do, you know, 2 secondary stats if you really want to, but then that might get a little weird. They'd have to really look at balance, I think, more so at that point then. But I think the bonuses are really cool, and I think that there should be more things that do the same thing as others, just don't do it as good. But yeah, so bears, fishing, and whatever else, moles, stone and clay, birds, reeds, and fibers. They're known for collecting them for their nests and stuff, so, in actual life. Going back to lakes, I think lakes would be a very interesting feature. It would be essentially like farms. I kind of wrote up like a very basic idea, right? So you have essentially 3 main fertile soil buildings, which are the plantation, the small farm, and the herb garden, which is my favorite. So the plantation makes berries and fibers, which are made for, you know, clothing or fabric, essentially. So I said they should make 3 lake buildings, right, that bears would be good at, or whatever, you know, good fishing creature you want to make. And by the way, beavers could be like a secondary, they are good at lakes, which would be interesting. They'd have wood cutting mechanics, and then they'd be good on lakes, which would make them extremely interesting to use, because the lumber is so important, but so is the engineering a lot of the times. I feel like they're very useful, and I feel if you gave them like I'm good at lakes but not as good as bears, food buildings are so good that you would actually have to question, is that 5% doubling production worth it to actually take them off what they're really good at? And that is what I'm getting at, guys. Like, the layer there to me is like insane, because then you're really going to have to, if you really want to min-max, it's going to become like a very interesting way of doing so. But anyways, so you would have 3 fishing buildings. I did like net hut. It would catch salmon and clams. And clams might be like, they might have an oyster or something. Like, they might be worth a good amount of amber to trade, but maybe they're not really good for food. Whereas salmon would be like your food for the net hut. And then you would have like a fishing hut. The other one would be, it would have bass. And then I did either like shrimp as the secondary source, or like stone. Maybe you have another way to get stone. And then like a fishing station, you have like trout, and then like seaweed, which, you know, would be used in crafting fabrics or something like that. And maybe some other foods, maybe like pies or something, seaweed pies. But yeah, I thought that would be really cool. Like, add a couple things of fish, add some different kind of things that could be used in other things, kind of like the plantation is food, but it also provides that, but it's not used in flour in any way like the other 2 have access to flour. I just think it would add another layer of complexity and enjoyability to the game. And you would essentially, you know, every year you would like prep the lake. It would be essentially the same layout. The biggest thing would be they probably would have to make it so your villagers don't walk over the lake, because that would probably annoy a lot of people. And that would probably be the hardest part of adding that for them, I feel like, for the coding. So, because it would be, you know, they would have to like get on a boat or whatever, you know what I mean? They wouldn't just walk over it and like prep it. But yeah, I think like adding lakes, I think, is one of the really upvoted features and really should be added to the game eventually. I think it makes sense in a world with a ton of water. Unless all the fish get wiped out during the storm, which, again, that could be lore friendly, that they just, that the storm hits and it literally kills like everything. So, anyways, those are my thoughts, and there's more stuff I'm kind of thinking about in the back of my brain, but for me, it's like the secondary expertise, essentially, on your species, I think would be a really cool idea, whether they do 1 or 2, and it provides half the bonus of the other, you know, like of the main one, and the lakes. So I just want to get that out there. I'm a smaller YouTuber and streamer, so who knows if they'll actually watch this video, but I strongly suggest that they eventually think about those things strongly, because I think it adds a complexity to this game that is a very interesting way to play, like min-max and try to survive. And I think adding more ability to survive but potentially sacrificing in other places would actually make the game better. Some people may disagree. Please, if whether you agree or not, tell me what you think in the comments down below. Like, subscribe if you enjoy my videos. I really do appreciate it. As I said, I'm small. And it's just a pleasure to be here talking to you guys. Anyways, have a lovely day. I'll see you guys in the next one.